And all right, well, we're live. Thanks for coming back today. Probably some people jump on in a second here. Third episode. First two, actually last week we did autocross discussion about that. And the first week was a little bit of random discussion, us arguing and bickering about different things according to racing. This week, we do not have Mo because he's lost somewhere. Probably his Chevy broke down somewhere. Who knows? But this week we got myself, Mike, John, and Scott here in the studio. We have Grant remote. Let me cut to him real quick. And we do also have some special guests with us. And
Special,
very special. We got Adam Jabaay, and he's the Motorsports director over at GridLife. He's been hosting events with them for about since 2004. He's also the owner of a small construction company. He's an HPDE instructor. He also does a podcast called Slip Angle by TrackTuned. He's been wheel racing for 5 years, Lemons, SCCA Super Touring Advisory Committee. So he's a busy guy. He's got a lot going on. I'd say that, right?
Yeah, it's a stupid life. I'm blowing it, dude. Way too many things.
Exactly. And then we also have Matt Moreman as well from Obsessed Garage. And he is live with us also. And he has been working on his YouTube career along with some other things with financial advisory and wealth management. But his whole thing has been he's been obsessed with car detailing and different products in that line. He's launched a line recently. He just told us he's been selling a lot of chamois. So
chamois.
So,
I hope there aren't any detailers watching this.
I've got both these guys in here, and I think something that Matt had written on his page was his videos that he does are a story of his experiences, and he thinks there's a lot of value in giving the consumer an educated opinion on different products. So we're happy to have both of them, two car community lovers, and so I want to let Adam give a little plug about what he's got going on, and if you want to get a few minutes about yourself.
Cool. Yeah, my car life has started to take over my real life. It started in 2004. We started hosting track events. Chris Stewart, the founder of GridLife, and myself, and somebody had to kind of run the track portion, and so that ended up being me because I was more into the technical side of cars than he was. And then I ended up just kind of falling into this kind of part-time job of hosting events with Chris. So we started doing GridLife in 2013, I think. We had been hosting basically just HPDE weekends, and then Chris had been also doing some concert promotion stuff, and he kind of wanted to merge the two. And he had been looking at all the buddies he had in the car world, like car show guys, drift guys, time attack guys, wheel-to-wheel guys like me and some of our other buddies, and they kind of wanted to merge everybody into one thing. Let's like throw a party for everybody, and then like have like a concert at night. So that was what GridLife became. And the GridLife Festival in the Midwest has doubled in attendance every year. It's gotten kind of nuts. It's at Gingerman Raceway every year, which is where we started hosting events in 2004. So it's kind of like our home base. Oh, just pull my headset out here. Hang on. Yeah, it's we branched out to the South last year. We went to Road Atlanta in August. That was our first Road Atlanta festival. And so that was a bit of a stressful learning experience, but we had a good time. It was it ended up being a super successful event. Really built another audience down there. But it's been kind of a crazy ride doing the whole GridLife stuff. So. It's becoming kind of a media company, kind of a partnership company with a lot of, like tire companies, stuff like that. But at its core, it's kind of a party at the racetrack. So that's one thing I do. And I do race SCCA wheel-to-wheel, NASA wheel-to-wheel. I've done Lemons in the past. And this is my clunker that I race right over here. It's a SCCA Super Touring Light CRX with a B18C swap now. Yeah, and I'm on the rules committee for the super touring classes, and I also do a podcast with my buddy Austin Cabot. So we're about 140 episodes in. Got a pretty good reach. Been a lot of fun to do that too. Slip Angle is the name of the podcast. So, yep, that's what I do.
Yeah, we're excited. We're I think all of us, Grant, John, Scott, myself, we're all going to GridLife Southeast in Atlanta.
Yeah, it'll be a fun one.
So we're looking forward to it.
We've got some cool music acts you might like, but I can't tell you what they are yet.
Teaser.
Well, one of them might rhyme with Buddha, and he's a dude that lives in Atlanta, maybe. So.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we'll see. He's a car dude too.
We'll figure what that means.
Yeah.
Matt?
Well, I don't know if I belong on this in this group of guys. I guess I'm like the I'm the anti guy, right? I'm the anti-track guy that can kind of balance you guys out. Otherwise it'll get too probably too detailed about apex and whatever, trail braking and all that stuff. I understand the lingo, I just don't do it because I'm afraid.
You're in such a better place, man. Just stay away.
Yeah, we envy you.
I tried. I was telling you guys before we started this live post that I had this dream of being a track guy. I waited. I kept blaming it on I needed 2 cars, and so when I had an AP2 S2000, and when I got my E92 M3, I was like, okay, now's the time. And so I signed up for Chin Motorsports. So I paid the annual membership, and then bought the helmet. And I'm like, okay, here we go. I went to Sebring. I did 6 laps, and I said, I freaking hate this.
Really?
I did just the violence of it. I'm wound tightly.
Yeah.
And
That's a bumpy track. It's a bumpy track.
Yeah. And turn 1 is you feel like you're gonna slide off the side, and I think I did maybe 3 more sessions, and I put my helmet in my trunk, and I don't think I ever took it out. No, I've been back to Sebring in my F80. I've been to Atlanta Motorsports Park, and I've done some of the hokey, the BMW driving experience and stuff like that. But the whole track thing scares the crap out of me. I don't know how you guys do it. It's just they say more time, the more you get used to it. I don't think it'll ever happen with me, but. And I think that's part of my story. A couple of years ago, I was diagnosed with pretty severe obsessive compulsive disorder. Go figure. That's where the name comes from. And a therapist told me. So this is around 2014. The therapist told me, he said, "Look, bro, you gotta let some people in. You gotta figure out how to do that." And so he gave me some homework assignments. And I think the homework assignment was to go shake my neighbor's hand. But instead, what I decided to do was make a YouTube channel. And so where it all got started is I started journaling my 991 Carrera S. So I journaled everything that I did, whether I washed the car or I did a radar detector or I did something like tune the stereo or I went driving on a back road. I shared that whole experience, and I took good photos and wrote up articles, and then eventually started making videos, and that led then when I got my blue GT3, so I got a 991 GT3. When I got that car, the whole thing just kind of blew up, and I had people from all over the world that would reach out to me. And I think what the whole obsessive compulsive disorder thing did is it allowed me to, how you guys know how when you go on a forum and people are bullies, they'll kind of berate you for, hey,
that doesn't happen on forums.
Use the search field or something like that. And I said,
search noob.
Middle fingers up to those guys. I'm just going to share my story and see what happens. And hundreds of thousands of views. It's just freaking crazy how many people read my GT3 journal on Renlist, which is such an obscure, small little forum. And then I just kept doing me, man. I just kept doing it over and over and over, and I did it in an obsessed way. And so now I have, my private Facebook group is the biggest detailing focus group in the world by 5 times. There's 12,000 people on Facebook that's part of it. The YouTube channel is about 90,000 subscribers. And I refuse to conform. Like, I'm not going to do, like, I could probably have more viewers if I just go do donuts in my GT3. But I keep making 45-minute long videos. I keep doing it my way, and people just keep showing up. And I started a clothing line, and I started, now I started selling the stuff that I'm using in all these videos and these journals and things like that. And I mean, I'll probably do a couple $1 million in sales this year just out of pure accident. I mean, it's pretty freaking cool.
That's awesome.
So I'll probably hit 100,000 subscribers at some point soon here, and every time I launch a new product, I probably lose 5,000 subscribers because some people just want to be entertained. But so the people that are part of it are like part of this community. And so I'm launching a new and improved ObsessedGarage.com. I have a podcast. We've had about 500,000 downloads, something like that, on our podcast. It's called Dialed In, and it all connects. And so the key is, I've just been doing me, and then these dudes that'll like buy a pressure washer from me call me to have me manage their money because they know that I'm insane. And so people assume that same level of insanity happens in my real job, which is Obsessed Wealth. In fact, when I called my company and said, hey, I want to call it Obsessed Wealth, they questioned me, and they said, I don't think we can do that. I said, well, we're going to figure out how to do it because that's what I want to do. And it eventually turned into what it is today, and it's growing massively. It's pretty cool. So anyway, that's
awesome. Obviously, by the amount of people that are following you, they thank you for starting that obsession, and instead of going and shaking your neighbor's hand and changing the way you were doing things, is putting it on the internet. I think that helped a lot of people, and everyone appreciates it. And I was in your group, and it's amazing. I see 1 million posts all day coming in about detailing and this and that, and it's really engaging.
Yeah, the engagement is just crazy, man. And I think what it is just giving people permission to be obsessed. That's why people identify with it.
Right.
So, I could have a YouTube channel with more subscribers, but I think that, again, it's better to build it a certain way where you really get people that identify. So I don't know. We'll see where it goes. I'm just going to keep doing me, and hopefully more cool stuff happens. That's why I'm here on this, on this hangout, on this live video, because of just putting myself out there. Otherwise, I'd be, hiding somewhere. Awesome. Away from the track as far as possible.
Hey,
right.
You need to go through my beginner program at GridLife. I think you'd love this. I think you'd love it.
I would.
Well, thank you for both jumping on. We appreciate it. And I'm going to pose a question to the viewers who are watching right now. Post up on the board year, make, and model of your favorite car / and/or racing car, if you have one or both. And then I'll read maybe some off in a little bit when they come in. But I'd like to go on to our first topic, and I'd like to know your opinions on amateur racing and racing culture versus just general car culture. Because I feel like, Matt, you're kind of into the car culture in a different way. And Adam, you're into because GridLife, I mean, there's a lot of car culture and a racing culture, but I think it's also a good amalgamation of both, just because of the nature of your events and what you do. So, Matt, I'd like to hear your opinion on that first.
The interesting thing I find is that there's a strong sense of elitism in racing culture. There's at least this is the perception that I have, is that there's a like people tend to stick their nose up, because again, I'm part of the forums a lot. And forums are a decent microcosm of life in general. And so when I'll make a post about carbon ceramics versus steel brakes or something like that, and then the track guys will get in and just really kind of get angry that there's other car cultures out there, that there's things that I don't agree with, like stance movement and hella flush and that kind of style that I think is goofy. But I get it. I think the key to the whole thing is that car culture is way bigger than it's ever been. And I've been a part of it since I was 12 years old in some form or fashion. And now I just feel like car culture is so big, but I do feel like there's a sense of the real drivers, the real racers. I feel like they kind of get cranky at times. I wonder what you guys get cranky with the other type of car culture, which may or may not be as true. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, racers are so dumb. No, I used to think like drifting was stupid until I saw like real good drifting in person. I used to think the stance crowd was so dumb until I saw kind of the level of passion behind some of the builds and the quality really in some of the builds. I built a splitter for a guy who he does both of those things. He's got a real low S2000. He's got it's a blue S2000. His name is Everett. He comes to our events. He does, kind of some club drifting stuff. The car is like, they call it static or whatever. It's not like bags. It's super freaking low all the time. And the dude wheels it every day. Every day it's nice. He drives the shit out of the car. He loves it. And like, that's his thing. Like it's the same disease. It's a different symptom than me and my freaking corded Hoosiers. And I don't know. I got love really, especially in the last 3 or 4 years since we've been doing the GridLife events. I love it all. I think, if you're into it, if it's what kind of gets you up in the morning, I'm totally into it. But I totally agree with you when you say that the racers think that they're like a step up, or like it's not, maybe not that. Maybe it's more like it's a bit of an elitism. That's really the best term.
Right. Yeah.
And especially on forums, it's like especially in real life, I don't think racers are all that bad. I think the loud ones on the forums sometimes can be the worst. But I don't know. Kind of the driving force behind hosting our events is to kind of combat some of that stuff, because there was real like harsh divides between all the different kinds of car culture in the Midwest and Chicago area. Mm-hmm. Hate on the internet, on the forums and stuff. And I think everybody can have a good time if they all get together and do, cool car stuff together. But yeah, racers can be a bit elite. Yeah.
It's starting to come around where I think that the different sects of car culture are coming together. But
and there's dummies in every different clique and sect of it. There's somebody you don't want to hang out with that's in every one of those cliques. But like there's a lot of people you might love hanging out with in every one of those. So I think it's just a matter of broadening your horizons. If you're an autocrosser, maybe go to a track day or a car show or Cars and Coffee. Or if you're, a stance guy, go check out a track day, go to a Cars and Coffee, go to autocross. Just get to know the other groups. There's a lot to learn in all the groups. So.
Thank you. Yeah, and I'll just make a quick note on this one. And, I think that you're right. And forums are a place where everybody is a D-bag in a lot of cases. You go on any forum, Reddit, whatever, people can be. And you know what? You'll see groups where there'll be a lot of just like people will post like a question where someone could Google the answer, and people will be helpful regardless. And that's a culture that was built in that group. And when people aren't polite, they get, shamed for it. And then there's groups that are just like consistent, our local group here, like you post something, people are going to like go after you on it regardless of what it is. And I think that's a culture that a group builds, and like you said, a community builds that too, because every time you're in a group of people that are like-minded, that can happen if you start saying, okay, that, those people aren't right, versus, like you said, going and checking things out. Because I think as far as racers are concerned, I think the camaraderie around people helping each other at autocross events, and that's my experience, I've only really done autocross, is everyone's very helpful. We're also on a lower level.
And that's the coolest stuff, yeah. Like finding the camaraderie with that is so rad.
Right, and we're not in like the super competitive racing, so I'm sure there's a little bit more tension there when it comes down to the competition, but I think it's there. But I've also went to just car meets and things like that, and like with Matt and I don't agree with Stance Nation either, but I could appreciate I can appreciate the car culture itself for what it is. Would I ever do it, or I would not? Would I make fun of my friends if they were doing that? Yes, I would. I make fun of Scott for a lot of things. My friends, all the time. So I think that's, right? We got some comments here. Yes, we're taking questions from YouTube. And Calvin Gillette said, in response to the question earlier, I really like the old real-time Acura Integra Type R's back in the Speed World Challenge. Love watching Peter Cunningham race. Yeah, I guess so.
I don't know.
Hey, that dude's been in my podcast. I know Peter Cunningham.
Yeah, Adam knows.
Bring in a special guest.
Yeah. He's actually a hard guest to interview because he's got a super dry sense of humor, and you think he's mad at you the whole time. Yeah,
that's awesome. So switching over to our second topic, it was from John. Actually, came up with this earlier. The influence of social media on car and racing culture, and this is actually a good question because we had a question from S2KI Jax, and I wanted to ask Matt a question. Talk about the challenges of being in a spotlight and how your family felt about your videos. So I'm actually going to start with Adam first, but I think that it's a good tie-in.
So social media has kind of started ruining my life a little bit, and I try to stay away from it as far as answering Facebook messages from you. It can be a full-time job with GridLife answering the messages on Facebook, but
you don't like the gay for Jabaay t-shirts?
No, there's so many gay for Jabaay t-shirts. I don't know. I didn't make those. No, I don't know. I think it's changed. I think social media has really changed the car culture in the last 5 years to 7 years, maybe. And forums have kind of died. A lot of them because of Facebook. But I think the biggest negative really is that a lot of the knowledge base of forums kind of went away. And Facebook, like you can't really search it. You can't archive it. There's no frequently asked questions on Facebook. So you get a lot of dumb questions. And there's I don't know, I think there's a lack of knowledge, but there's, and like Instagram is, it's strange. I don't know. I just want to go racing with my friends, but the social media I think it's changed the knowledge base a little bit, and maybe taking it a step back because forums really had a good thing going for about 10 years there, but it's also brought up, some of the aspects like events are bigger because of media coverage. I think there's pluses and minuses to both of it. But.
Yeah, I mean, I think that for GridLife, you get a lot of grassroots maybe promotion of it through people who know it, sharing things on it, things like that.
Millions of clicks on everything. It's a big deal. Making videos has kind of become part of the business model of GridLife. And it already has. We've already been working with Donut Media and some of the other bigger media companies. And that's even the last 6 months, that's changed how we're kind of doing business. But I don't know. For me personally, it seems like forums are still the best way that I connect with people that race in the class that I'm in, stuff like that. But overall, Instagram and Facebook, they've just totally decimated some of that knowledge base. But the enthusiast community is still there, and it's growing because of it. You just might need to hold their hands a little bit more than you did when there was a frequently asked questions page, on the forum. But
cool, Matt.
Yeah, I look at social media a little differently than most. I spend a lot of time and effort on being authentic, right, and being appropriate, because a lot of times I want to just fight ignorance, and I think that's well said, Adam, about knowledge, right, the knowledge base, and when my private Facebook group started, so when the Obsessed Garage group started, and I got a couple thousand people, it was extremely useful. Because the feed was being refreshed every day, but the information was all fresh and new. And now there are 13,000 people, 12,500 or so in it, and I found it less useful just because of, like you said, the lack of searchability.
Yeah.
And so what I think social media does, at least for me, again, it helped me come out of obscurity. Right? And if you use it right, and if you're authentic about it, and I follow up with everything, it's part of being obsessed. It's the 750 messages a day I get or so, I do it all. I never stop. And I clearly am not going to be able to do that forever. But I think that I honestly believe that a forum is still the best format. I just think that forums in their existence, like I can't handle Reddit. Reddit is too clunky. It's too old school for me. It's too simple. So I don't even have a profile on Reddit. But I think that what I'm going to do, or what my intention is to drive, the social media crowd to that pretty much all hate it just like I do, back to a forum, but a forum that is policed in a pretty significant way. Not a censoring way, but a way where if you're not a gentleman, you're out. The biggest thing I talk about, like I've made videos on a private group, and the videos have basically said, look, if you're offended, you're probably wrong. If you're an offender, you're probably also wrong, so you're out. There's like zero tolerance for that. And what happens is people get kicked out, and then they either just go away or they come back and say, look, I get it now, I understand. And I tell them to cut their nuts off if they violate me again. But then building a culture of people around it, and I think that was really well said earlier about policing it to the point to where you get berated if you aren't a gentleman, if you aren't self-aware. And so, for me, social media is about self-awareness, being aware of what you're posting. Don't post when you're hungry or angry, or have a really strong opinion about something, because it's not going to get you anywhere. And so I think that social media can be really, really powerful and really useful. It just has to be obsessed over it. It can't just float out a Facebook group or a Facebook page or a Facebook post and just expect it to find people. You have to be extremely intentional about everything. And if you're intentional, it can be powerful. I mean, it can change the freaking world, man. And that's what I believe. It just has to be done properly. It has to be done right.
See, I'm glad that you brought that up, because the reason why I asked this question is I thought that social media with respect to the car culture has almost reached critical mass, and that it, in effect, has become a barrier to entry to folks who want to start, their own car business, their own racing group, their own Instagram page. When you go online, there's 500,000 Instagram pages with somebody posting a picture of a car every single day. I just found it, kind of daunting, because I've now tried to take it up. I've got a Spectro Racing Instagram handle that I just started, and it seems like the thing just can't take off given what else is out there. So I'm glad that you brought up that point, that you have to be obsessed about it in order to get it moving.
Yeah, unless you just have something special. I don't know if you guys have seen Alberto Big Boost in Orlando. I don't know if you guys have seen his stuff. Like, he went from 0 to 100,000 subscribers on YouTube in a week. The dude just has something special. He has a funny accent, and he's a bright guy, and he's working on the right kind of cars. But he just has something special. I don't feel like I have something special, so you have to roll up your sleeves and work at it, man. You just have to do it over and over and over. And when people tell you you're stupid, you just keep doing it, and you keep being authentic. And then when they tell you you're ugly and you're fat and you're bald, you just keep freaking doing it. And eventually, something.
How did you know?
I was referring to myself.
Oh, okay.
When you go back and look at my old videos, I'm 205 pounds, and now I'm 250 pounds, and everybody reminds me of that every freaking day. And you just kind of have to keep rolling with it, But you have to be on it every day, all day, nonstop.
Cool. Hey, anything else?
No, I just thought it was really interesting, the whole talk about forums and how they're such a great resource, but in so many ways they're also the devil.
Yeah, totally.
I mean,
Totally.
I'm building a car myself right now, and I'm building it from scratch, basically. I don't know if I really hope that no one out there will have a car that's like mine. I mean, that's the hope of anybody who's building a car as a project, is that you have something unique. Well, part of the challenge is, A, I have no idea what I'm doing, and B, trying to find information on it. Who the heck do I ask if I'm trying to do something unique? And you talk to one guy that's selling one product and it's not involved with another product, but then they have to work together, and you try to go on forums, and it's just such a mess on forums, because 99%, I feel like, of the people on forums are just out there to get you. They're just out there to prove you wrong. They're not out there to be helpful. They're just out there to be trolls. But then if you talk to people on the phone, they're so helpful. I mean, I'm building a classic Mustang, and a lot of people who are familiar with classic Mustangs are going to be familiar with the classic recreations. They build the GT500 CR and the GT300 CR, like gorgeous cars. They cost like $200,000. I'd never be able to afford one, or not right now. Maybe someday, I hope. But anyway, like, I figured that if I called these people and said, hey, I saw something really cool on your website and I want to do something similar, that they would just tell me to, like, screw off, go away. Like, I have no interest in talking to you. But they ended up being genuine car guys. And I feel like genuine car guys are more likely to help each other out. And it's just a matter of talking to them and being like, hey, I thought this was cool. And he ended up helping me out tremendously. And, it's been an invaluable resource for me, and I did not expect anything to happen of just calling him up. And it ended up, like I said, I expected it to be just like an interaction on a forum. Oh, well, you should just use Google better. And that's not what happened at all. And it's such a challenge, because that's what so many people are familiar with, and that's what you were talking about, of like, how do I get into this without somebody just bashing me because I don't know what I'm doing. And that's what you get so much of on the internet, and it's a challenge now for a lot of people.
I think because Facebook is a big forum now, and Calvin mentioned it. He says he misses old school forums because information was a bit easier to find. Instead of, because people are always posting, why is this guy resurrecting this old thread? Well, in Facebook, it's hard to find what already happened. So forums, I think, were good for that. Somebody said that your favorite car is a Honda S2000, and we see that Matt actually just picked one of those up. And then someone else said favorite car, BMW M3, favorite race car, E46 GTR. So those are good ones. Yeah, we saw you just picked up that S2000. What are you doing?
I just paid for it today. Yeah. So I'm gonna be JDM crazy. I'm gonna be JDM bolt-on crazy. It's gonna be.
All right.
I already made the calls today to order some wheels, some brakes, some suspension. I'll be Olin suspension. What's Olin's? Is that German or is that American?
Yeah, Olin's is German. Yeah, I think. Yeah.
I think so too. So I'll be to Olin's DFBs, and it's gonna be freaking sick. Nice. I'm gonna buy all the parts that I wanted when I was 21 and had my first S2000, and buy all of them. And I'm gonna.
That's the glory. That's the glory.
Yeah.
All
the
right.
funny part is I'll probably get a discount on all of them now when I don't need it quite as much as I did.
You're trying so hard to get that discount.
Yeah. That car's gonna be freaking sick. I can't.
What year did you get? What year?
I bought an 06.
Okay.
06 Silverstone on black, 29,000 miles.
Nice.
I was looking at low, because I planned to keep the car. I was looking at low mileage ones, and I just couldn't bring myself to spend, $30,000 on a freaking car.
They're worth so much money still.
I mean, I bought my 07 AP2 off the showroom floor for $27,500 out the door.
And it's like what it's worth now.
And I paid $25,500 for this one. Yeah, it's freaking 12 years old, 11 years old. Crazy. But it's hard to find one that's not all chopped up,
Yeah, they're all beat, man. They're so beat now.
I want to chop it up. I don't want somebody else to.
He wants to jump it over the railroad tracks. He doesn't want to buy it after somebody jumps it over railroad tracks.
what I'm thinking about doing, I'm thinking I'm gonna go hella flush. I'm gonna cut the fenders off.
Yeah. You know what you should do? You should sandblast the hood and let it rust. But I think they're aluminum, so that won't work. But,
I'm gonna just take a sledgehammer to the oil pan and just flatten.
there you go. There you go. Just get it done beforehand. You know.
I am gonna have to take a sledgehammer to the seat because I don't want my head sticking out of the top. So I'm gonna have to flatten that sucker out and get some low-rise seat rails and stuff. So because I'm not much of a convertible kind of guy. So I need
shouldn't have bought a convertible.
I need a hard top. It'll be hard top only, and I just need to get the seat lower so I can see out the windshield.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. Someone else said, "Oh yeah, tell us why you got back into the S2000 after experiencing such high-performing cars as the GT3." I think you just mentioned it about your childhood, bring yourself back, and just finding the car that you always wanted to modify.
Well, one thing I realized, I was at the dyno Tuesday. I took the GT350 to the dyno, and we laid my GT3 dyno chart against my GT350, and it was clear why I liked the car so much. Just smooth, linear. I mean, the torque curve was nice and flat, so you don't have a drop off in pull or in power, and and the horsepower curve was massively linear. And if you took an S2000 and you laid the plot against that, it would look identical, just much, much lower, right? It would be much lower on the scale, on the y-axis. Well, I just like real cars, naturally aspirated cars. Like my F80 M3, I freaking hated that thing, because its power curve looks like this and it's flat. It just doesn't do it for me. And so I'm trying to go out and get all those cars that I've always wanted. That's the plan anyway. So Obsessed Garage is buying those for me. So thanks to all the people who are buying shirts.
Cool. So let's jump into the main topic, and it's related to motorsports. So Matt, you're gonna have an opinion again about your outside opinion, I guess, of motorsports, and minor opinion of contributing to it at Sebring, I think he said. But types of motorsports, amateur racing, I guess, and I posted a poll the other day. We had people comment their favorite type, whether it was autocross, track days, just open track days, casual, club racing, drag racing. We know who chose that one over here. Mud racing was even added as an option, and then rallycross and drifting. So there's a lot of ways people get into just racing on an amateur level, not having to be a professional. And I wanted to hear the opinion on, I guess, it was kind of an outsider's opinion for you, I guess, because you don't really participate in any of those methods. But what's your opinion is on motorsports from an amateur level, and also what your favorite motorsport is, if you have one. I mean, it doesn't have to be that you actually participate. It could be watching. It could be just enjoying that the most, and why.
That puts me on the spot here. I think like HPDEs would be my favorite thing. Like if I could just go and be by myself on the track, I'd probably like it a lot more. No rock, no rock.
You can do that. It'll just cost you lots of money, man.
Right, yeah.
I'll give you a section if you want to.
$12,000 track day, right? Just to go make.
Yeah, no problem. We can hook that up.
Yeah, I'm sure you could. Yeah, I think HPDEs would be my favorite thing to do. The other thing I've done, which is kind of fun to do, one or two runs, would be like a half-mile event. Those are kind of cool, just to kind of see what your car can do.
Yeah, so fun.
Like want to go fast or FL2K? FL2K half mile? No.
Yes.
FL2K, yeah.
Yeah, like I've done want to go fast with my cars. That was kind of cool, to just go out and
they're fun,
see what they can do. It's weird, man. I want to be like an F1 fan, like so badly. And I turn it on and I make it about 30 seconds and I'm off. I'm gone. But to me, that just seems like the purest form of, racing. And I kind of admire, like, because I'm such a big Porsche fan, right? And I admire the guys who like follow the various GT series and things like that. And I want to be a part of it. I just can't I can't get into it. I don't know. And I've just, as I've gotten older, I've just kind of given up that I'm just not into it, and that's okay, But that would be my, my choice would be to, watch Ferrari, an F1 and be a part of that. But I don't know. I turn it on and then I make it 30 seconds and I'm out.
While you were talking about that, Grant pulled up him getting his ass whooped. I want to go fast. If you want to replay that, Grant, that was hilarious.
I was the poorest person there that day.
How fast did you go?
Let me pull that up.
It was-
Oh, is that
That
Heaven's
was- that was a Clayton, Georgia half mile against the 1,000 horsepower GTR, my 329 wheel horsepower Mustang at the time.
Yeah, this is where I'm going. I'm leaving for we rented out Heaven's Landing, so we'll be doing that on Friday. Yeah, no, Saturday with the 73 GT3. So we're all going up to the mountains on.
Yeah, the drive up there is phenomenal, and then the drive down there when you're towing is absolutely scary.
I tow to AMP, Atlanta Motorsports.
I wouldn't tow up there or down there. It was terrifying.
Yeah.
I cooked the brakes on my expedition.
You also had like a 1990 something expedition with $1 million miles on it. I think most people are not towing with something like that.
That is true.
There.
That's funny.
Probably be better off towing with like an MTB lawnmower than an Expedition 90.
Before we jump over to Adam, Cruisers Motorsports said Circle Track should have been on there. I think he said he won his first championship with it. Hold on a second.
Circle Track rules so hard. It's so awesome. I don't know why I don't do it. It's so cool.
He said his first, he bought his first, round car for $400 and damn near won championship with it. That's good. I never knew that. So.
Yeah, you can do low budget Circle Track, and we interviewed a friend of mine on the podcast a while back, Ryan Lagasty, and I think this year he made so much money Circle Track racing in winnings, in like a car he doesn't even own. It's a weird little form of race sports, but I think that's pretty as far as like the hardcore motorsports. Those Circle Track guys are insane. And there's a level for like everybody, but
are you talking the dirt track? Or?
My buddy does dirt and paved like quarter-mile and half-mile ovals, and like mini NASCAR. Like there's so many tracks. Tracks are everywhere, and like entry fees are like $30, and if you like finish the race, you get like $20, and if you win, you get like several hundred. It's a really cool, like some of the 4-cylinder classes and stuff are really a good entry level, basically an entry level car hobby. But I did one half-mile event, and it was like one of the most memorable fun days I did ever in a car. I actually had to up the rev limiter in my Civic to get 150 miles an hour out of it. We were like 148, 147, and so we just put the rev limiter to like 9K. And I was on the rev limiter for what it felt like hundreds and hundreds of feet. But we ran out of gear at 151, I think. But that was super fun. I love doing that. Rally is insane. I've done stage rally. No, I haven't driven it. I've been the crew chief for my buddy Matt Johnston, who is he's now one of the camera guys for Ken Block Gymkhana videos. He won the Rally America Group 2 National Championship in like 2005. That stuff is nuts. If you haven't seen one, go watch a stage rally once at least. Just spectate it from like one corner and like get drunk with a bunch of locals and have a good time. Autocross is a good time. I love doing that. I did the most autocrossing in like 2007 to 2009 when we were doing the Grassroots Motorsports $2,000 challenges. We ran a CRX for 3 years in that. We won it in 2009. So I did a bunch of autocross then because that was like the biggest part of that competition. And I kind of miss it. It was fun, simple. Our buddy Christian, who's friends with a bunch of you guys, he always tells me that I'm in the wrong motorsport. Like I should just go do autocross and then I could have so much more free time. But I can only get out to do club racing a few times a year, but man, there's nothing like the rush of wheel-to-wheel club racing. With all the GridLife stuff and testing and tuning and life and everything, I can really only race like 3 times a year usually, but they're like the best 3 weekends ever. There's nothing that like turns off the rest of the world and really just lets you focus and just like it's the most peaceful place in the world, being the chaos of like a wheel-to-wheel pack of like 50 cars going around Mid-Ohio or Road Atlanta. It's indescribable. Like you can feel every foot of the track. Your brain is completely focused, and it's like the best rush ever, but it's also the stupidest hobby you could possibly have. It's so dumb, but it's also my favorite thing in the entire world to do, is to get into the car and just bang doors with people. So there's nothing better than that for me. So.
What about leading up to it? Is it kind of like a fight where like you're all
for me, like half of the battle is just getting there, like prepping the car. I've got my garage pretty well set up to where I can just kind of leave the car in like half prepped mode up in the air and just slowly tinker with it, half an hour here, half an hour there, but it's always a thrash like 3 nights before. It's never ready in time. I'm always driving through the middle of the night, with whoever I can get to come with me to keep me awake, because I'm working too many hours at my real job. But man, when you get there and you get behind the wheel and you put the Hans device on and you buckle the helmet, and there's nothing better in the entire world. But I want to quit because it's so hard. It's so much work, but it's the greatest thing in the whole world. But it's so hard. It's so hard to do on a budget. Like, I'm on a pretty tight budget. That's why I drive a turd CRX. But I got a family, my wife, my daughter, mortgage payment, liabilities at work and stuff. But I can't let it ruin my life. But even at a low budget, it'll ruin your life. But man, it's the greatest. I can't watch F1. I can't watch NASCAR. Like, it's too boring for me, because I've been, in a pack of a ton of cars, and I just got to be there. You got to be in the car. I can't watch it. I'm not into watching it. I'm not into spectating, really. I just want to be out there. And I got to try Circle Track. Circle Track is like kind of the next thing I want to try. I've had a few invites, and I've had a few invites to do solo nationals at Autocross too. I think I might do that this year if I can drag the wife and kid out to Lincoln. So we'll see. But wheel to wheel, it's amazing. It sucks and it's hard, and it's just the greatest thing in the whole world.
Yeah, one of the things I really like about Autocross, to kind of counter that point, is you can drive at 10/10 at Autocross constantly. Every time I've done a track day, I've broken something. I think the last one at the firm, I just had an end link fall off, and luckily, nothing bad happened. Didn't fly off, the side of the track or something. But it, you can drive as hard as you want. Whereas if you like club racing or HPDE, you got to really kind of dial it back, unless you're willing to sacrifice your car.
Oh yeah, you got to have something you're willing to throw away, in my opinion, in order to do club racing. Or just have budget be no option.
So it's definitely like I'd want something like your Civic. So if I put it into a wall, it's like
tie it to a tree and yank it out and make it straight again.
That's awesome.
So what would you say for those of us who are envious of Adam?
Don't be envious of Adam.
you have a ton of experience, and you have the ability to do that. You have all of the requirements to be able to jump in and go to a race. If your schedule's open, you can go do it. So what would you say is the number one way to get to that point where you can do wheel-to-wheel club racing? What's the best, most cost-effective way to get into that, aside from, owning a car?
Yeah.
They have things like Skip Barber. You can spend $4,000 or $5,000, $6,000, and you can get your novice license after a weekend. Or you can do a buttload of track days.
Well, I got something for you if you want a club race license. There's a few
Yeah,
options.
A bunch of us definitely want that.
Yeah, SCCA has a few cool options. I actually started doing lemons racing with some buddies. We built just a junk CRX. Lee from Coney, USA, he gave me a CRX, a first-gen CRX, and he said, you can have the car, and it had a cage in it and everything. I had to add to the cage to make it lemons legal. It was just a bolt-in at the time. He said, you can have the car, but just give me a seat in a few races. So then I also got to become buddies with Lee from Coney, so that's cool. The CRX, we made it solid and reliable, and then we just started entering. We bought all the safety gear. We got together a group of buddies. We started doing wheel-to-wheel, lemons racing, and that was super fun. And it was a really good tool for learning situational awareness because there's like 80 to 100 cars around you, and they really punish you for getting in contact with other cars. So you really learn to know is that Maserati bi-turbo still next to me, and you learn all the the nuances of a class of a group like that, which has a lot of disparity in speed. You learn hearing, you learn just driving offline. There's so much you can learn from Chump or Lemons or WRL, and you don't actually need a wheel-to-wheel license with them. But with SCCA, if you've done some races and you have like a teammate that has an SCCA license or can sign off on you, they'll give you a novice license. If you've done some Chump, Lemons, WRL. So that was actually the route that I went. I raced a dozen times with Lemons or whatever, and we had raced with Lee from Coney and my buddy Tom, who have been 25-year SCCA racers. They were on my team, and they said, "Yeah, Adam is clean. He's safe. It's fine." They signed off on me basically, and that was my comp school. So that's one option. And at GridLife Road Atlanta, actually, we're going to have it. It's not announced yet, but it's all set. It's going to be a club race experience session. Sanctioned by SCCA, and basically it is a no points race wheel-to-wheel session, and you can participate in it if you have a full safety legal car. So it's got to have a full cage, compliant to the GCR rules or whatever. You have to have full driver safety gear. You have to have some modicum of skill, but you can earn your novice license after basically participating in that weekend of events. It'll be a practice qualify race session. So that's another way to get your wheel-to-wheel license, and you can get it through me, sort of. But Skip Barber Skip Barber, I think, just lost the accreditation from SCCA this week. Wow. That was a news story that I read somewhere. But there's a lot of driver schools, but probably the easiest way, if you have a car or can borrow or rent a car, is to get your license, is just to go sign up for a novice school. And it's basically like a race weekend, and they put you through a lot of drills, teach you everything. They can take you from like zero all the way to club racing in a weekend. But if you've done track days and stuff, there's a lot of options now to get your club race license. I forget exactly what I was even talking about, but I think I was on point there. I don't know. But yeah. The barrier to entry is actually lower than it seems. A lot of people think like it's impossible to get to wheel-to-wheel racing. It's really not. Buy all the driver safety gear, buy a Hans device, and then either rent a car, or like I rent my car out to people sometimes. Rent a car, or just throw a cage in a car and master safety switch and a fire extinguisher or a fire system, and race IT or Honda Challenge. Or there's a lot of classes that don't need fuel cell, they don't need full fire suppression, but you really gotta dig into the rules of those classes. A lot of people just kind of gloss over the surface and they never actually read the rules, and the rules are always free to download from NASA or SCCA. But really, you sit on the couch for 2 or 3 nights, you can have it all figured out. Just the rules of the car, building the car, or just buy a car for $5,000 like I bought this thing, and then I sold $3,000 in spare parts. So in my first race that came with it, I was into this car for about $2,000. So you can do it pretty cheap if you want to. You just got to be resourceful, and you got to have a little bit of a wrench background. But yeah.
What do you think about buying a already prepped car from like Racing Junk or something versus building your own?
You gotta really, you got to really know what you're buying. Most of the time, it's better to buy a car that's been built. Most of the time. Sometimes you're buying somebody's project and they'll sell you down the river and you're buying really a nightmare. I bought a car that had, if it hadn't had the spares that I didn't need that came with it, because I was already into this generation of Honda, if it hadn't had those, it would have been such a ripoff. It was such a piece of junk. The first weekend I took it to a track event that friends of mine were hosting, the ITR Expo group at Mid-Ohio. The first weekend I was on track with it, it tried to kill me because the rear lower control arm was cracked like all the way around the hub. It had like two little like half-inch pieces of metal that were still connected, and the wheel almost fell off. My buddy Mark from IBOC, he runs the marketing at IBOC in California. He was behind me on track. And I did like 3 laps, and I came in and I'm thinking, maybe this isn't for me. Maybe the CRXs are just hard to drive. I don't know what the heck is wrong. This thing doesn't want to turn left at all. And it would like have snap oversteer, and it was terrible. And Mark happened to be behind me, and I'm in the bathroom like an hour later, and he walks up to me. He's like, "Hey, Jabaay, did you buy that CRX?" And I'm like, "Yeah." He's like, "Yeah, I was behind you, and your wheel was just like going like 5 degrees camber both directions, and like it was terrible. Something's broken, dude." And I couldn't see it because it was like hidden behind the brake rotor, and you can't see it from the backside. So you really got to know what you're buying, and you really got to go through the car if you buy a pre-built car. But if you do your research, that's the best way to buy a car. So by far, you can usually get like 50% off if you built it yourself versus if you buy it. You know, there's no money in building race cars. It's hard to make money by building a race car and selling it. You'll lose a lot of money.
I really wanted to try drifting, but there's absolutely no way I can do that cost effectively because I know I'll absolutely destroy any car that I get into to attempt doing that.
Yeah, that drifting is so cool to watch. I want to build a drift car so bad, but I just ain't got time to build another car right now. We bring out a lot of like pro level drifters like Vaughn Gittin, Ryan Turk to our events and stuff, and it's so amazing to watch those guys drive. I was in the back seat of Chris Forsberg's 4-door car, his demo car at Road Atlanta. And we're going like 140 down the back straight, and he initiates at 140, 135 miles an hour, like gets the thing sideways at like 130. And I've never seen such car control in my life. I want to be a drifter so bad, but I ain't building another car right now.
But I like to. Scott wants to build a rally car.
Yeah, I want to build a rally car. I want to go find, like a $1,500 absolute piece of trash and somehow figure out how to jack it up 2 or 3 inches and
put a $5,000 cage in it.
What's that?
Put like a $5,000 cage in it and then destroy it.
Exactly.
Rally, wheel to wheel or stage rally. I mean, it's just awesome. It's so cool, but that's the craziest of the crazy. It's nuts, man.
They don't have anything crazy like that I really am aware of in Florida. I mean, all the rally crosses that you see down here are like race through this cow field.
Fern's got rally, but not really.
Even still, it's like
that,
race through some trees and then back out onto the cow field.
There's no crazy, hills or
There's
cliffs.
no hills around here.
Yeah.
The craziest weekend of my life was the Maine Pro Rally in 2005. And in order to get the car through tech, Matt, the guy who owned the car, he happened to buy some Napa trans seals because his trans was leaking the event before, and they didn't fit at all. And the thing just gushed trans fluid out, and they wouldn't pass it in tech. So we like pull it out, we drain all the trans fluid, run it back through tech, and they're like, "Holy cow, you guys fixed it in like 5 minutes." And so we passed tech by not having trans fluid in the car. And then because we're idiots, we just kept putting more and more trans fluid in because we couldn't find real OEM seals anywhere. So every service, we would just throw more trans fluid in. We tried to change the seals like twice. In Park Expose, which is like the car show beforehand, I'm underneath the car covered in oil, pulling the skid plate down, and like Travis Pastrana slides underneath, and he's like, "What you doing, man?" So that was how I met Travis Pastrana underneath the rally car. And but rally is just it's the craziest thing you can imagine. and you never sleep for 4 days unless you're like a real team that has money and does things correctly. But I would, everybody should try rally. I mean, even if it's just crewing for for somebody you meet on the internet, rally is just awesome. It's so cool.
Got the giggles.
It'll make you crazy, but it's the coolest thing I've ever seen in my entire life.
Momo says, Scott, your C5 crazy high ride height will be a good rally car.
Totally.
Not gonna get the front of his Corvette to sit down.
Well, to counteract that, I have jacked up the back, and that's level. It looks less ridiculous now.
Rally bet. All right, so let's do a little bit of trivia. We'll see how many points we get here, and the points don't really matter because you don't win anything except for maybe a high five. But you guys are by yourself, so you have to high five yourself. So the first question: what decade did drifting start? Adam?
I would guess the 80s in Japan, but I don't actually know.
Matt?
I mean, 90s would probably be wrong. Just it seems too easy. So I'm going to say 70s.
Okay. Who wants to go? Scott, Grant, who wants to be the designated person? Scott?
Why can't we do this as a team? Come
because
on.
Wouldn't it be fair? What do you think?
Man, I'd have to go. Well, I guess.
Let's be smart about it.
Now you mean as a sport, right? Not just being a retard on back roads.
When did
That's been happening forever, dude.
when did drifting start, Scott?
I'd say as a
question.
sport, I'd say the 90s.
Go with the 80s.
Wow, you know what? Who was dead on? Matt. You got it.
Yeah.
1970s.
70s.
I was thinking like 70, 40, like Datsun, stuff like that.
Yeah, but those cars you never drifted on purpose. It just was all the time.
Next question. I hope Matt gets this, but we'll see. When was the first production of microfiber?
Ooh.
What decade? Adam?
I first bought a microfiber cloth in 2001. So I would say it's from 90s.
Okay. Matt?
No, I think microfiber's been around a long time. I think the 60s. It was just polyester.
Right. Scott?
I was thinking
at all.
that's what I was thinking.
All right. Well, you guys were close. Matt and Scott were the closest. It was 1950s. So you guys are close. So we'll have to do a tiebreaker. So there's let's see. Oh, well, I guess Matt's got 2 points. Scott's got 1. Come on, Adam. You pick it up. All right. I think you got this one. First race car to break 200 miles an hour. I think you're gonna know it when I say it.
I'm sure I will, but
Oh, I know it.
he says he knows it. Can I phone a friend?
You are the weakest link.
What do you think, Scott? Don't tell him.
That hit isn't even helping me. I have no idea.
Oh,
Do you have no idea?
I've got no idea.
Adam?
200 miles an hour. Is this like land speed cars?
No, first race car.
First race car.
Yeah.
It's got to be an Indy car then. I want to say it was one of Andy Granatelli's cars at Indy, but I don't even know. I'm not sure.
Matt, you know?
No.
That was the saddest no ever.
Look at your face.
Sorry, I'm thinking.
No.
It's 46 years ago by the Dodge Charger Daytona.
Oh, really?
big wing.
NASCAR, huh?
That's what he was telling me. He's like the big
wing.
Come on, you guys have done this. Come on. And I have one more. We'll do one more. Bonus question.
I don't know if that's actually correct. but
I would say that I would dispute that highly.
I'm going to Google it.
Google. Siri, is Michael correct? All right, how about this? The world's rarest car. Scott's looking at it.
He has it on one of his many computer screens over here. Huge text.
All right,
so
Scott, close your
I
eyes.
don't get to do this one.
You don't get to do this
Or
one.
you can
Grant.
scroll down.
Actually, Grant could do this one, though. World's rarest car.
I don't know.
Adam?
The rarest car? There's a lot of one-of-one
Why
cars.
don't we just go with a brand that's still out today?
Yeah.
Is it a brand? What are you looking for? Are you looking for a brand?
The brand of the rarest car. Because you can't say what is the rarest car. No one in this group is going to know that.
Also, there's a lot of one-of-ones.
That's what I mean.
Right.
So
Yeah.
what type of
Most
brand?
expensive rarest car. But I guess the brand's fine.
I don't like this result.
I'll give you a hint.
You don't like this
They're
result?
still around today, and they're still really expensive.
Bugatti, maybe?
Meh.
Hmm.
You're on the right track with the I think.
All right, is he?
Not really.
No.
Is it like Rolls Royce?
Yep.
Oh,
Wait a minute.
Oh.
Away. I gave the answer away.
It's the Rolls-Royce 15 horsepower. It's worth $35 million.
See, I'm going to dispute that because the Ferrari 250 GTO sold $38 million at auction and over $50 in private
Look
parties.
at this guy. This guy would know the rarest car. Scott, know when this group's going to know this stuff? Looks like this guy does.
Just saying.
That's
two in a row that I would have
We should have picked John.
Yeah, clearly. I don't know why you pointed at me.
Well, I don't know, Scott. You like to talk. So, I mean, that's really it. I mean, we do want to talk about what's coming up with us. We're going to do this most likely in about 2 to 3 weeks again. We'll be live with Matt Gobert from Racers HQ and most likely Rob Ferretti, Super Speeders Rob on YouTube. However, the more pressing of the events we have coming up is our track day on April 29th at the Firm in Stark, Florida. That is going to be a hot lap time attack session in the morning. Afternoon is going to be open track. Pretty casual. I think everyone's going to have some experience. There shouldn't be too much herding cats. At least I hope. We'll see how that turns out. But and the Firm, if you don't know, is a pretty simple track. There are really no walls except for one, and you do not have to drive fast. So if you're scared of hurting your car, like I definitely am, because you'll be fine. That's on April 29th at the Firm. If you're interested, just DM one of us. The registration link is up. It's on Facebook. It's on MSR. If you want to bring a few friends, we could probably give you a discount code for watching the show and telling some people about it. We really appreciate you supporting us. Before we go, any last things from Adam or Matt?
I think I'm going to be there driving one of my cars, so
Nice.
might do like 1 or 2 laps.
Well, actually, the hot laps in the morning, you'll be by yourself.
Yeah, I think you'll enjoy that because you'll be 30 to 45 seconds ahead or behind somebody, so you'll have basically the track to yourself.
75 miles an hour. It's going to be awesome.
We have the video up on the screen right now. Adam, you got anything else you want to say before we get off?
We've got May 5 at Road America up in Wisconsin. We've got a open track event with GridLife, and it's in conjunction with World Racing League. So they have a session also because they have an event that's Saturday, Sunday. But there are still spots available for that. We'd love to get some more people out for that. It's going to be real wide open, and it's like the cheapest you can get on Road America, like, $200 some. It's a Friday, unfortunately, because that's the test and tune day for race weekend. But no, we've got some big events coming up. Probably our biggest event ever will be Midwest Festival in June, and check out grid.life. Hey, look at that. check out grid.life and then TrackTuned.com for the podcast.
There's like 40,000 people watching us right now, Michelle.
That's awesome. Thanks, Adam. That's great. So, hey guys, thanks for watching. Adam, Matt, thank you for hopping on. Until next time, stay tuned here. Follow us on every form of social media: YouTube, Twitch, Pokemon Go if you have it. we don't Grant probably plays that or something, but I don't know.
I have no idea what Twitch is.